As you can only learn to do math by doing math, and I'm very interested in your learning to do math, then I make sure that you do some, which means that I assign quite a bit of homework. It also means that I collect the homework from you to ascertain that indeed you have done it and thereby accomplished some learning. So the method that I will collect the homework from you is as follows. Let's suppose that you have here your completed homework for a typical week. It will usually run around 5 pages, and you have the steps actually shown. You just don't write down answers, but you show how you arrived at your answers, including the steps. But because you have to send this to me, you try not to write overly large, but on a typical assignment, it might be, as we have here, about 5 pages. And then it's your task to try to send this to me. The easiest way to send it to me is to use an ordinary scanner and put your pages onto the scanner and scan them into the computer one at a time, and then zip up the file and send it to me. Now, when you scan this work in an ordinary scanner, don't use color. It produces too large a file. It's not necessary. Grayscale works fine, and a little better than black and white, actually. And set the what's called the resolution, or DPI, down to around 200 DPI. This will actually be sufficient to record your homework, and it will produce a small file. Now, we need to produce a small file because you're going to send it to me by email as an attachment to your assignment folder. So lengthy files require a lengthy transmission on your part and a lengthy reception on my part, and we really want to avoid them. If you can get your hands on a scanner, then just scan them into a computer and zip up the folder and send it to me. Now, the reason I say to zip up the folder is because you cannot send an entire folder. You can only send one file. So you have the choice of either sending the images one file at a time, which is laborious and unnecessary, or you put them into one folder and then you zip up or compress that folder and it becomes one file. And then you can send it because it's only one file. It will also be slightly smaller. So even though this is the preferred solution, most of you will not have your hands on a scanner nor be able to do it. So in most cases, this is the way that it will be done. Your 5 pages can be photographed by yourself using either your mobile camera, your iPad, or a simple digital camera. Now, in this case, I'm going to illustrate the procedure by using an ordinary digital camera. Now, if you have a choice in your camera that's a little bit of a flower, which means that you're going to take close-up pictures, it helps to do that. You need to experiment with your own unit to find out whether it works best with flash or without flash. This particular unit works much better without flash, and therefore I adjust what's called the exposure. Now, we have an F-16 taking off. We're going to wait a moment here. There's usually 4 of them. Here comes the second one. Okay, we'll try again. This particular camera works best. Oops, number 3. Clear to go. Okay, this particular camera works best if I set the exposure to what is known as 0. But you try it with your own camera. Then you come up on the document until it entirely fills the screen. There's no sense just taking a little corner or a half screen, and you simply click the picture. Then you move on to the next one, and you simply click it. then the next one, and you simply click it. And here we have the fourth one, and I just click it, and the fifth one, and I just click it. They are now quite comfortably into the camera. So depending on the camera that you're using, you might be able to connect directly to a computer. In this particular camera, I just pop out the memory card. I go over to my computer, insert the memory card, and open the folder that is there, and go to my images. And there will be the last four down here at the bottom. They came out a little bit dark, so that's because I have darkened light in here so that I can photograph, so that I can video, but in your instance you won't have that, so we simply paste them here onto the desktop, and here are the four homework pages. And now the next thing that I want to do is to illustrate something that you don't do. If I go to properties on any one of them, I see that the size of any one of these files is 1.4 megabytes, or 2.14 megabytes. Each file is 2 megabytes large. So if I have 5 pages, that's 10 megabytes of transmission, and that is absolutely out of the question. So what we have to do is reduce the size of each one of these images, because we do not need an image that large, because we don't need that kind of resolution in the slightest. So in order to reduce the size of an image, you need a photo editing program. If you don't have one, then Microsoft Paint works perfectly well. So all we're going to do is import one of these files that is on the desktop, and here's one of them. So I'm going to open this file, and it's going to be much too large, and so I have to go to Image and Resize, and I'm going to take it down to 10%. If I take it down to 10%, it will be fine, because at my end, if I need to, I can zoom it up. The resolution is intact. Don't worry about that. So we take it down to 10% of its size, and then we simply save it back. And we're going to save it as a JPEG, because those are nice to save it as, so it's saved. And so I'm going to replace it with a smaller file. And now let's assume that I have reduced all of these files to a smaller size. So each one of them will be much less size. For example, the one that I just worked with, let's see what its new size is. So its new size now is 12 kilobytes. 12 kilobytes is a huge improvement over 2 megabytes. What I really want you to do is to get your final submission down to being less than 1 megabyte for transmission speeds. So the next step is to create a folder, and so we go to a new folder, and in the folder it will be named as you have been instructed to name it. It will have your name, say name, your name, and then it will say week 1 homework, or test 1, or some other identifier. And now that this has been created, then we just move these reduced images into it, and then we right-click on it. After we right-click on it, we say send to a compressed folder. And here is the compressed folder. Now the size of this compressed folder will be small because you have reduced your images at this point. So now that all of this has been done, this is the file that you attach to your assignment folder, and that I receive, I unzip it, and I look at your homework. So that's the way that we'll be doing it. So please send me a private message right now which indicates that you have watched this video. Thank you.